off here. Hey, boys and girls, welcome to another Sunday Sync. We've got Brandon, Chris, Flavio, and Wayne on so far. I did invite a couple of private money lenders. I'm not sure if they're going to make it or not because I don't know if they realized it was Memorial Day weekend. So we'll see. Um, so if anybody's got any hot topics or opens, go for it. Okay, it sounds like not. Well, I'll share something then. I want to share why I underwrite at such a conservative level. This month is one of the reasons why. So I underwrite to come in about 15K a month. Now I've been coming in, 18, 17K for the last 3 months, right? Which is fantastic, right? And that's after property management fees, my take, and then that doesn't obviously account for mortgages and all that. I'm about 6,500 net or so. I've been 8K net in the last 3 months, but this month I'm at what am I at 15K right now, and it's not looking. I might get to 16. So I mean, so that's why in my books, in my estimations, it's 15K, and that's why it's like the lowest on average I think I'd hit. And so I feel even though this month sucks, I'm at 79% across 24 units. But I'm not upset because I'm still, I'd rather be conservative, undercut over, under promise, over delivered to myself. Right. And so that's why I do that. So, oh, PC crash, bummer. PC's on vacation.
I've got a new one that it's in the very earliest stages. So I've shared with some of these people even on this group. So I'm doing the build to rent model. And I'm now at 12 units. The market around where I'm at in Fort Worth, Texas area, the market's about between 4 and 5% cash on cash return. And so what I've done when I've taught over the years is understanding where wealthy money is returns of 14% and higher.
Hey, Brandon, before you go too far, when you say 4 or 5%, is that 20% down or is that what's your
Right now at 25% down is the metric I use, and it's 4
wow?
to 5%.
Okay.
So, of course, I look at standards with anything and say, how do you get the best returns is raise your standards. And raising standards has never been something anyone regrets when they raise their standards. So I raised my standard and my minimum cash on cash return. I won't do any project for anything less than a 14% cash on cash return. Won't do it. So that's my standard, which is about 3 to 4 times more than the average. And so over all the projects I've done, and all of mine started in 21, I finally compiled it on a spreadsheet so that it's all in one sheet because I have them all separately, and now I've got a combined one too. Right now, my average is 24.51% cash on cash return.
That's awesome, man.
That's the average, but some of those are high because I didn't put much money in them. So, the law of small numbers, but then that just takes all of it combined, but the combined return is 24.51. Found something new the other day. Have a property. I'm always looking for properties because I have to be thinking 1, 2 years out because it takes roughly a year to get a project finished. And so I'm always looking at my dirt thinking, okay, I've got dirt now to get me to 27. I need some more dirt to get to end of 28. And something was presented to me. I saw a sliver, a pie-shaped lot, and I couldn't figure out how to make the number work. For one thing, this is going to be odd, a pie-shaped lot with a pool on it, and that's it. So I'm sitting there trying to figure out, can it even be done because of the pie shape? It's not a big lot. This is a very small lot. I'm watching a video, and hopefully nobody minds me telling this story. So
Yeah, go for it, man.
I'm watching this video and I cannot now remember. This was Monday evening, a video from somebody in kind of our real estate world. He was talking about the power of one bedroom units and how well he's found that they do, and they tend to stay a little longer. And then I literally jumped up from the couch and I just said, I yelled it to my wife, I've got it. I've figured out how to get multiple units on this piece of dirt. And so I'm working it out right now. This is so small, I can only fit two one-bedroom units on it. I'm working out the final numbers on what it's going to take to bust up all the decking and the pool, putting in the backfill of the dirt. It comes out to 100. I figured it up. This is using, what is that, trigonometry, or figuring out the volume and how much volume it is. It's 145 yards of dirt, and it runs, for me down here in Texas, it's about 200 for good fill dirt. It's about $220 to $240 for a 10-yard load. Plus, you've got to compact it. And because it's not virgin dirt, I've already decided I'm going to be putting piers in to get down to virgin dirt, because I plan to own this for 30 years. So I'm going to do it right. I'm not going to do it cheap. They're asking $20,000 for the lot. They've been sitting on it for a year. So they're going to be open to somebody. They literally own a pool that nobody goes to. It's just costing them money. So we're going to negotiate this out. So I'm sharing this out into the world, into this world right here. I'm going to get this property one way or the other. But we're going to talk to them about, hey, here's your problem. Here's my problem, what it's going to cost to build this out. And we're going to tell them, it's going to cost about 20 grand to do lot prep. And my metrics typically are 20,000 for the lot. So I'm adding that back in roughly. I'm going to see if I can get this between 5 and 10,000. I know my build, because I'm working on them right now with my builder. Once I have the final number, we're going to negotiate, and running the metrics that I use, what the cost, I think it's going to run around 170,000 all in to build these two one-bedroom units. The rents in our area for one-bedroom apartments, and I designed it. I literally have drawn it out, sketched it, given the elevation, sketched to get elevation, all of it, which gets my juices flowing. I love building, and I love new stuff. I can rent these out for $1,050 a month, and it's only cost me 170. So 2,050 a month units, and it cost me 170 to build it. It should appraise, and I'm real specific about 227,000 is the appraisal. That would be what it would be worth in the open market. So I've got all that forced equity, and it cash flows very well. I'm using some conservative interest rates, because from the time I build this, get everything with the city done, it'll be, if I start in the fall, early spring when I'm finished with it, maybe a little earlier than that, just depending on rain and how quick. But it gives me, I have other units close by it. I'll be able to put a monument sign, because I'm building another one that's a 4-unit, 3-bedroom. I'm going to put a monument sign on that hard corner, which is a big traffic corner, that I'll have 1, 2, and 3-bedroom units available with contact information on that monument sign on a high traffic corner.
Nice.
I'm pretty excited about this.
Is that would that be considered a duplex, or how do you zone that?
I would call it, yes, it's a duplex. It's zone duplex. Even though there's a pool on it, it's got duplexes, multifamily all around it in a cul-de-sac. So the city will have no problem. The secret thing that was brought to me, the city came to me, because I grew up in this community. So they know my family. They know my wife's family. One of the city officials came to me and said, you need to buy it. We'll work with you on what the variances need to be. because you're the buyer and we know you'll build a good product. Now that's the backstory that not many people know, but
That's
that's what the
awesome.
city came to me saying, because I said, okay, then looking at this pie shape, I'm going to be a little off on the setbacks, on the side setbacks. I said, will y'all be able to work with me on maybe 5 foot setbacks on each side? And they said they would. And I said, I know we've got to be 30 foot setback off the front. I've measured it all out. I think this a duplex 1 bedroom units. I just need the variance on the 5 foot setback. It's really only a variance of, I think, about 2 feet on each side, going from 7 to 5s. And they said, we will work with you. You just get it under contract. So I mean, that's pretty cool.
You don't hear that very often, let me tell you.
Yeah, exactly. But some of it I've served, I was the vice chairman of planning and zoning in our city. Our family from there, I just have lots. It's a network, and I have some networks within the city, and they've seen the product I've put out. They know I'll do a good job. I don't build crap.
That's awesome, man. Hey, let me jump out real quick. I invited a couple private money lenders. I don't know if one of the names on here, anybody come from the private money lending group that I advertised this in? Okay, just checking. I don't know if some of the names I didn't recognize. So, I, anyway, all right, that's cool, man. That's awesome. That's similar to what like Matt and some of the others talk about building a relationship with banks, like small credit unions, small banks, and sometimes it'll come to you like Zuber's 700,000 that he got,
Yeah.
that 1.5 he got for 700 because the bank came to him and said, hey, so that's kind of what I'm trying to do with the either Mako, the Mountain America Credit Union, or one of the other local banks. So that's
Hey,
awesome.
Brandon, I got a quick question for you.
Sure.
So I put it in the school community too. I'm looking at Gary, Indiana, and Pittsburgh. I'm thinking about build to rent there because those lots are cheap, and buying a hundred-year-old house is a lot of crap work. So building from the ground up, I think would be more economical. Plus, their building standards are not. I'm from California, so their building standards are not quite as high. I'm wondering if that's going to pencil out.
I bet you it will. That's actually a very good thought you just brought to me, because they're going to want those new construction. It revitalizes in multiple layers. And the thing that you'd want to know, and you probably maybe are, I'm sure you're aware of this, is just finding out if they have any impact fees and how much those impact fees are, because you can probably you'll be able to pencil what it's going to cost to build it. It's just what are the cities doing with impact fees and just access to the utilities. But I bet you with Gary, Indiana, and what I little bit understand, they're going to be drooling for somebody to build some good new construction there.
Well, not only that, there's news out that they're doing $100 million convention center in Gary. Yeah, so they'll be adding hotel rooms. They're going to be adding the convention center. Plus, if you start doing that type of stuff, because I'm looking at these older properties, I'm going, they're not penciling out with the amount of, because I won't do anything where knob and tube and cast is still in the walls. I won't do it.
Yeah.
It's got to go down to stud and get replaced.
And just finding a contractor there you can trust. That's the next
Well,
key
part of
relation.
it doesn't matter because what I would do is I'd hire it separately. I'd go out there for 2 weeks and do my own plumbing and electrical
Gotcha.
because that stuff's easy. I just got to find out the whether I can or not in certain areas, like the surrounding area of Pittsburgh. I can work on my own property.
Well, I
Inside
bet
the
you they're
city, I
going to
can't.
require you to have, I mean, some of these states, they're going to want that master license. And like you said, it just depends on what Indiana and that local county will require for pulling the permit for the plumbing and the electrical inspections. They're going to have that, whoever has that master license.
Right now, surrounding areas of Pittsburgh, not a problem. I've already looked into that because it's my house. I'm doing an owner builder permit, so
Yeah.
I can do the work.
Yeah.
Now,
That makes sense.
Gary and the city of Pittsburgh, no, you have to technically be a licensed plumber, licensed electrician. I don't know if you're a general contractor in those states if you can do the 3 trades like we can in California.
Yeah. I just don't
That,
know.
yeah.
It's a good question.
Yeah, but I'm starting to do the research on that, and I'm still researching California too because I've got 3 doors right now that we're burning, and I'm trying to figure out, do I stay here? Do I go out of state? What do I do? And it's a hard thing to figure out.
Yeah.
Because I'm new.
That sounds actually you're making me sit here. My wheels are turning. I'm like, that's not a bad idea.
Yeah, there's so many lots available for like 5 grand in
I
Gary.
bet you. I
Yeah.
bet you so. That makes the
So
math work.
yeah, exactly. So and it'd be so much easier to build new than try to fix something existing.
Hey Jim, you pull that off and you make that work, you make it profitable. I got a pretty good feeling people are gonna want to throw money at you.
Yeah, no, I'm playing with the idea, and it's just there's a lot of legwork that has to go into it. That's for sure. So, but yeah, that was my thought. Like I said, I threw it out in the Skool community to get everybody's thoughts involved, so I can do the research on it. So, thank you, I appreciate it.
Yep.
All righty. So Memorial Day weekend, some people joined after I said this, so I got a cutoff at 2 o'clock. Sorry. So it'll probably be relatively short here. So we got about an hour and something. What's the next topic du jour?
So, were you able to get private money lenders to be able to be on, or no?
They're not here as far as I can tell, but I was telling Brandon before we started this thing. Zuber told me in that meeting I had with him, the latest portfolio review thing that he did. He
Right.
said, you should start networking and talk to your people. And he says, it's going to take you 3 months before you get anything. Well, yesterday I got a phone call. I got a guy I've known for over a year. He's another investor. And he said, hey, man, I wouldn't mind investing with you. And I'm like, really? And he goes, yeah, I got 300 grand sitting in a 401k. I'm going to move it to a self-directed and I got to do something with it. I'm like, pfft. And he's got another 100 grand in cash. And I've known the guy for a year. We've never talked about this. We've talked about just investing and tax strategy and all that kind of stuff. And then all of a sudden he saw that video I did and he called me up and I was like, dude, I did not expect that. So it's kind of cool. We'll see what the future holds.
Gotcha.
And what's weird is I'm in the same boat. I've got money sitting in a self-directed that I can't really touch. And if I liquidate it, I take that 10% penalty. So, oh, it
Right.
looks like Lars has a question. What's up, Lars?
Hey, how's everybody doing? I guess I have two questions. One, is there anybody on this call right now that lives in the Pittsburgh metro area? I'm going to assume no, but I'm going to ask it anyways.
Not on the call, but Jack on the Skool. You might reach
Yeah,
out to
no,
Jack.
yeah, I know Jack. I'm trying not to rely on him too much.
Yeah.
I
Um,
just, I just bought a hi guys.
Hi.
That's my first meeting. I just joined the group yesterday. My name is Rad, and yeah, I just bought 2 days ago my first house in Pittsburgh. I just got
Awesome.
back home. I'm originally from Florida, so
Are you in Pittsburgh now?
no, in Florida.
Well, Rad, congrats on the acquisition.
Oh,
What did
thank
you
you so
buy?
much. I'm sorry.
What did you buy?
In Westwood.
You bought in Pittsburgh. Did you buy a duplex, a single family home, a triplex?
I just buy small single family house with backyard access. You can access it with car from the backside as well. So, and it's kind of 13 minutes to downtown, 20 minutes to airport. So the
Yeah.
location is awesome, kind of.
Yeah, no, awesome. Awesome. Yeah, no, that's
Yeah.
awesome. I just bought in Pittsburgh too. That's why I was about to ask the question I was asking because I've run into I'm trying not to rely on one person too much, that's why I figure I'm gonna put a post in the in the Skool community. But yeah, so I found out that my property has a small either a small cigarette smell. And so
Uh-huh.
I was gonna I guess a cigarette smell. I guess a cigarette smell. Jack mentioned there's a cigarette smell when he was going through it for me. So so I'm gonna put a post. But one thing I know that gets rid of cigarette smells and it like absorbs odors and so forth. Believe it
I'm
or
kind
not,
of,
called cash.
yeah.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Rad.
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of a contractor as well, but I contract different things. Back in Florida, I do like refinishing countertops, bathtubs, and kitchen cabinets, painting, outside, inside. I definitely recommend, man. Nothing you can do else. Just put primer there first and overcoat it with regular paint. But you have to prime the room, though.
Yeah,
Yeah. Lars, are you taking out all the carpet and everything too, or was there any carpet?
No, no, there's no carpet. But oddly enough, there's actually a quick, easy, cheap way to get rid of the smell. Um, I don't know if you guys know this, but volcanic ash actually absorbs smells in the air. I don't know if you guys know that.
Did not know
Um,
that.
Yeah,
no.
it's like a negative. You can go ahead and kind of look it up, but there's like it creates like a negative charge, volcanic ash does, which will absorb the smells near it. And so
I
you
mean,
can
that's
actually,
very interesting, but it's inside the walls, you know? I mean, how this thing can like remove the smell from the inside of the wall? I am not kind of sure about that one.
believe it or not, it works. That's all I'm gonna. It's one.
I definitely take a look on that. Thank you, man.
Yeah, yeah. I'm sure if it's heavy enough in the walls where it won't, to your point, truly get rid of it. But in this case, the property I bought, it looked like they did a lot of fixing up and everything. And it was mentioned to me that it's a slight smell, so it's not like it's not super strong, but it's still there. So,
Yeah.
but you can actually buy they don't call it volcanic ash. So, but you can actually buy an odor absorber actually out of Lowe's. I have the unit number. Um, and it's like $10 a bag, and it's just like a little handheld bag. You just kind of put in the room, you put in the room, and it'll absorb the smells for you. We found that out by accident because my wife found that out by accident with a long time ago. Her grandmother left her a car, and she was a chain smoker, really bad chain smoker, and but anyways, I guess somebody put volcanic ash in the car and absorbed it, and she was able to drive it, and you literally could not smell it. So,
That's cool
uh,
to know, man. Like these gadgets, like it's good to know for really quick turnover and stuff like that, you know?
yeah, yeah, let me pull it up from my phone because I took a picture of it. Um, sorry guys, it looks like I got kicked off there. When I tried pulling something up.
That's all right. We can
Yeah,
like put it to Amazon, and I'm pretty sure it's gonna be there.
yeah. Anyway, yeah. So, anyways, it's called like odor eliminator for like offices or something like that. But they'll use like volcanic ash in it. But the other thing is volcanic ash is also used for agriculture, especially for like gardening, especially for gardens that have a lot of clay. You can buy volcanic ash that will actually break down the clay that makes it where your gardens will produce better. So it's one of those things. It's those little known things that volcanic ash has a couple of uses for us real estate investors, right? If you want to, yeah, if you want to take care of something that in an area that has a lot of clay and you want to make something grow, or maybe put up some roses or whatever, one of the things you can do is actually because where I live there's a lot of clay, and so it's kind of one of those things that we all kind of know to like go get some volcanic ash and put it in the ground. It'll break down the clay and it'll put nutrients in it and allow stuff to grow. And then also, like I said, it's also an odor. It also creates like this negative charge that absorbs odors out of the air.
Good to
So,
know.
yeah, I'm gonna try to see if I can upload a picture of the thing from my phone without because I'm talking on the phone here to the chat.
Oh, cute.
Wonder if that's similar to charcoal, volcanic ash. I say we all go to Brandon's house and swim in his pool. Play a little volleyball.
Yep, that's right. We can have a grudge match.
I always end up on vacation, like if we go to like on a cruise or if we go to Hawaii or Maui, wherever. They usually have like a volleyball pool, and I usually end up having a few and playing volleyball with everybody there. I'm the old guy and all the kids, It's fun
It's
though.
kind of like from that scene from Meet the Fockers where he goes up and hits it and knocks that girl right in the nose,
Yeah, probably not
bloodies her
that bad.
nose.
Yeah. So Brandon, sorry, I got cut off here, but I uploaded a picture of what it is. I uploaded both the picture and the item number from Lowe's if you in the chat room if you guys want to see what it's.
Okay. I might
Yeah,
can use
it's
that for
like
some things too.
yeah, it's a commercial. Like I said, it's an application. Yeah, you can just buy these little bags and they're like $11 at Lowe's, and it's always nice to use like I always found it easier if you could find like if you could just buy a big bag of volcanic ash and just put it in like certain in bags and just kind of leave them. But this works just as well. It's only $11 a bag. But if you notice on the picture, it'll say made from volcanic material or something like that. If you zoom in on the picture there, so they don't call it volcanic ash; they call it something else because obviously, I'm not the first person. Obviously, my wife and I aren't the first people to ever discover this. And there's the industrial commercial use right there of how you can buy it.
Thanks, Lars. That's good.
Yeah. So yeah, I was just seeing if there's anybody in the Pittsburgh metro area who could go pick some up and for me and just put it in my unit. A quick just grab something from Lowe's and just go lay a couple bags in a couple different rooms, maybe on top of a bucket or something like that, and call it a day. Like a 10-minute job. So, but I'll make a post in the Skool community, see if there's anybody who can do that for me. But I just figured I'd ask on the call here real
Now, I
quick.
bet you'll find somebody in that big a community that can help you. I think that's another benefit. If y'all watch the video today with Mark and Michael, I posted something about the benefit of our Zoom, our community. And it's not just the information, it's the network, it's the contacts. That's as much, if not more valuable. And you doing that, which I think you'll probably get somebody to help you. That's some of the benefits.
Yeah, yeah. I'm hoping they'll. Yeah, I was just kind of thinking. Yeah, I'm trying. My father-in-law is out there, and I'm trying to get hold of him to see if he can go there because he's visiting. But there's also a wedding going on, so I don't know if I'm going to get hold of him. So I'm just going to put a post in the Skool community, and hopefully my father-in-law will get back to me. But if not, hopefully somebody else can do it, and I can just, you know, here's $30-$40. Just here's whatever it costs you to get 10. Here's a couple $100 to cover the stuff from Lowe's, an extra $40 for the trouble, and call it good, right?
So,
So,
Lars, are you self-managing?
um, haven't made up that mind yet. I probably won't self-manage, but I'm also I haven't talked to a management company yet, I guess is the best way of saying it. I'm just kind of coordinating these repairs in there. I had electricians go in there and ground some outlets and some stuff like that from the inspection, and um I have the plumbing stuff from the inspection that is going to go get taken care of, and that's only cost me $1,500. It's not much, but there's some stuff that needs to be done.
So you haven't figured out a team.
Yeah, it's like I can use marks, right? What I'm trying to wait, to be honest, what I'm trying to wait to do is see how the bill with bonus depreciation is going to play out, because it may be worth me in year one to self manage. If it ends up taking up more time than like if it ends up taking more time than what my wife does for her job type of thing, to where she could claim. I think you kind of see where I'm going with that. I'm not going to say it all
Yeah,
out
but
loud
hey,
here, but
Lars, you have a job and she has a job, right? W-2s?
well, so her job's not W-2. She owns a tax company, but she does payroll like as a contractor for other EAs in the area,
Gotcha.
right? But
She would be the rep.
She doesn't do it full time. And so the question comes down to, okay, how much time do you spend doing this? And how much time do we and how much time would you use managing this property? If you see where I'm going with this, Jared.
Yeah, the IRS says you can't do weekends, and after you can only do 8 hours a day. So you have to figure the math on that.
Right, and it's just a matter of what you use, what you do more.
Well, if you're trying to get her to real estate professional status, I'm assuming that's what you're getting at.
Yeah, but it comes down. So here's the thing. Me, I couldn't qualify. Because like I'm putting in, 60 hours a week during my job, right? But my wife is, nowhere near that, if you see where I'm going with that.
Yeah.
Now it comes down to how much time. Because there is the busy season, so maybe it won't play out. But in the meantime, while we're doing the repairs and so forth, we have time to kind of figure that out. If you see, we have a couple of weeks to figure that out, do the calculations and figure it out. Because honestly, Jared, it may turn out where more time is spent on real estate and you just don't even realize it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if that doesn't work out and you're willing to do it, which, it's the middle of the year, so you probably not, but let's say it takes you a long time to get the construction done. What I did in 23 was I ran it as a short-term rental. So you can also look into the STR loophole.
Yep.
If you wanted to do that game, it's kind of weird, but I did it and got back 45 grand. So it was worth it to me.
Yeah. And that creates an interesting dilemma too, because my insurance, I have USAA insurance. And one of the questions they ask you, are you using it as a short-term rental? And I said no, because I didn't. But, to your point, if all it does is cost maybe 7 or 8 days, are you really using a short-term rental, or are you just using a short-term rental for like a first month until you quote stabilize it, if you see where I'm going with that?
I don't know if you can do that. I think for the year. So like the reason it worked for me, because it was towards the end of the year.
Right. No, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But think about it. If it, I don't think it's going to take this long because it's May, right? Yeah. But if for whatever reason it was September, right? Let's say it was September, then you would do it for 7 or 8 days to cover the rest of the year, right? In Q4, right? Let's say I bought it in Q4 instead of the end of Q1. You do the repairs. Let's say it takes you a month for the repairs. Well, now you're down to 2 months. Yeah. And it's also the slow season it's also the really slow season to find renters, which of course is, trying to find renters in Thanksgiving, Christmas in an area that's cold. Good luck with that, right? And Pittsburgh's not it's not Florida, it's not Arizona. So that would definitely make sense, where you would put it up for Airbnb for people who are visiting family from out of town or whatever, for those 2 months, and then you switch over to long-term rental when you get out of the slow season.
Yeah, but the one drawback to that is you're going to have to do 10 grand in furnishings, accessories, all the essentials and everything else. And then where are you going to put it after you change it back to a long-term rental?
Yeah,
that's true. Hey, did you get your question answered, Lars?
Yeah, I did. I just figured I'd post it, and hopefully I was able to add something with the volcanic ash thing.
Okay. And Steven has a question. Go for it, Steven.
Hey, Jared. Wait, this goes back to Lars saying self-managing across out of state. How would you be able to self-manage being out of state?
I'm doing it.
Oh yeah? How is that possible? Is it just hiring as many handymans as you can, having as many people on call?
Okay. I'll let Lars answer, and then I'll answer after.
Okay.
So I would use Himly. If it was going to be long term, I use Himly. Because that would give the renters an 800 number for an emergency. It would make it where they don't know exactly. It would create a filter for communication and that kind of thing, right? So they don't know directly me. They would call or message Himly, and then Himly would message me, and I'd approve somebody going out there to fix them, that kind of thing.
Okay.
So that's what I would that's what I would do.
Mhm.
Is I would use a third party software like Himly, and I'm sure there's some other ones, but I know Himly off the top of my head. I use a third party software, just manage as much as I could through that, make it where they're calling somebody else and not me, right? A software that has an 800 number that's tied to contractors. And in a metro area, they're going to have plenty of them, going to have plenty of them to reach out to and call. And then of course, as you network and so forth, you'd find your contractors that you like using. So, they call it, they just tell Himley, hey, if it's this issue, you call this, if it's a plumbing issue, you call this plumber first. And then if they're not available, then we go ahead and call somebody else out of the Rolodex. Right. So
Okay.
you can do it without being there.
Mhm.
Um, I would still want to hopefully have somebody in the area who I could pay, once every 3 or 4 months to just drive by the area and take a few pictures for me, you know, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
But I don't think it's hard to find. I think if you're in the school community and so forth, also, I just think there's a lot of people who always need a few extra bucks. And something as simple as, hey, and I know there's apps out there where you can source out jobs. I mean, if I'm a college student and I see a job where, oh wait, I drive over here, I get paid $40 for taking some pictures and email them off to somebody. All
Mhm.
right, cool, right? And
Yeah.
then and then a once a year inspection, you can always find somebody to do that 1 a year inspection. That's that once a year inspection, right? It's
Yeah.
If you're trying to do monthly inspections, first of all, I would argue you're a little overbearing, but second of all, like, that's gonna be tough, right?
Yeah.
But if you're trying to do it once every 3 or 4 months or twice a year or once a year, I mean, I think there's a lot of states have laws against monthly inspections where it's like the most you can do is 4 a year or something like that.
Mhm.
So, anyways, that's what I have. I'm sure Jared has a much better process. I haven't done that myself yet, but I've been learning and absorbing the tools on how to do it in case I end up needing to.
Mhm.
Steven, I'm kind of a cheap ass or efficient with money, however you want to call it. So I avoid going to Google and searching the big names and all that. So what I did was I just network. You know that old saying, your network is your net worth.
Mhm.
True in many, many, many different ways. And so what I do is I just reach out to other investors in the area and
Yeah.
who they've used it. I mean, actually use, not like if you go to like I also go to a bunch of real estate meetup meetings online, these type of forums, that kind of thing, and network, and
Mhm.
get to know who other people are using for bigger ticket items. So I found that works pretty good. Like if I get a reference from somebody who they've actually used, then one of the things I'll do is I'll ask if I'm down there because I invest in Arizona, but I live in Oregon. I would say you
Yeah.
do have to go there. I know a lot of people have never even been to their rentals, but for me, I'm a look and see, touch it, feel it, get down there at least once or twice type of thing.
Mhm.
But I found that works really well, right? And those contractors that are doing a good enough job to get a good reference like that, you've heard the horror stories about, and Jim's a contractor on here, so no offense, but you've heard, I'm sure he's
Mhm.
seen work from other people that's been bad. But for me, if I've got a reference to someone to use it, generally I'll say it's decent enough. Like I haven't been burned. I'm gonna knock on some wood here. I haven't been burned. I haven't been skipped out on because these people are worried about their reputation and their quality because they're
Mhm.
generally working with retail people, but also investors, if they're using investors. So I found that works. And then on the smaller scale, I use the hell out of my handyman for more than just handyman work and my cleaning lady. And
Mhm.
I took this from Dion, but I was using it before that. There's like TaskRabbit and Thumbtack. I use Thumbtack. And what I'll do is I'll do the same thing Dion does, which is Dion McNeely, Financial Freedom, if anybody's interested. But I'll use a Thumbtack handyman for like a small job or two and get kind of a feel for them and see how they feel. And then also I have people in the house to see how the renters react to them, if they're cool with them and all that. And if that goes well, then I'll move into like a mid tier. And now this latest guy, he's accelerated so fast in the last month and a half that I've got him doing flooring. I've got him doing counters and bathrooms and stuff because he worked for a contract company for 3 or 4 years, and now he's branching out on his own to do handyman stuff. And so I've got him, I've got Jerron, I've got like three handymen. And then I've got four AC because in Arizona, you need to have, if something goes wrong with air conditioning, then you need to have AC guys. So I got like four AC guys, and I have a mix of, and on my plumber, same thing. But my plumbers, I've got a couple of mom and pop guys, and then I have a bigger shop that has more people in case the first two aren't available and I need it done. Then my third one is an actual plumbing shop, and they'll send out different people, but they're pretty good. They've come out to the houses before and not even charged me, so that was odd. But so anyway, that's what I do. I don't know if that's helpful, but and
That's really helpful.
yeah, a lot of the meetups, like for me, the AZ meetups, the Phoenix meetups, that's one of the questions I ask everybody. And it also gets the ball rolling. And that instead of coming out, hey, what do you do? How many units you have? Blah, blah, blah. It comes at it a different way, like, hey, and then you organically learn about their business by asking those kind of questions. So it sort of flows more instead of that whole transactional relationship, which we don't really have in the Skool community, really. But other events, typically, I don't know, that's what I found is, and that's fine. Someone's looking for something and I'm looking for something too, but I don't want to come out and be like, direct about it. I probably should. But anyway.
Yeah, no, that's extremely helpful, Jared and Lars there. Yeah, it's I do want to learn the business more, and I feel like being with a little bit hands-on and kind of just knowing contractors and knowing what goes into the place as well, being out of state would definitely kind of help me learn the ball game a little bit more too, right? Yeah.
Are you going to leverage an agent for your acquisitions?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Okay. Well, I would recommend getting a real estate friendly, or at least like my agent's an investor. He's got 12 properties in the area, and he's great because he's been there, done that, and he's actually doing the same strategy I am. So it's even more helpful.
Nice.
That might be a good move.
Hey, Steven, there's all kinds of content on YouTube about Hemlane.
Yeah.
There's tons of it.
How do you feel about Hemlane and Jim?
I'm actually going to be using Hemlane. I was going between Hemlane and Door Loop. Door Loop is who Matt, the lumberjack landlord, uses, but plus he does more of a hybrid of his own. But they're just a little too big. They're way too big scaled. So I'm going to use Hemlane to start, and then I'm also using Baselane, kind of like Mark does that too. Baselane for my accounting and my my bank.
Hey, this is oh, sorry, Jim.
I'm going to keep the banking away from my construction company, far away.
Hey, this is Chris. We've got 30 doors under Hemlane. We've been using them for 3.5 years. Super happy with it. I think eventually, when you get like 50, 60 doors, like, yeah, switching to door loop probably makes sense, but I've been super, super happy with Hemlane.
Now, are you having all the calls come into you, or are you having them go straight to a contractor or a handyman or something?
I've got a mix. I've got one unit that's really high end, and so for that one, I use the 800 line. But I'll be honest, for the rest, and even on that unit, they'll just text me, and I've got the contractors all lined up. So hey, HVAC guy, can you stop by this unit? Yeah, no problem, right? So it took a couple years to get to that level, but Hemlane will call, they will coordinate, but and some of the units are only 20 minutes for me. So, do I really want to pay $150 for a guy to go out and replace the valve on the toilet thing? Or if I'm going to be out that way, like tomorrow, I'll just stop by. So I'm doing a mix, Jim, but in general, I'm fielding most of the calls because, literally I got a Rolodex ready to go of maintenance people who are, I've kind of like tested and they're tried and true. So I just flip it over to them and it's done.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm looking to do too. So either I'll send one of my employees up, or we're going to more likely be up in the area we're doing right now. I have 3 now. I'm hoping to get a couple more. We'll always have people up that way.
Yeah.
So, and I'm going to have a shop set up to where I have all the essentials I need in that area already.
And sometimes, like, I mean, and I haven't. I've managed more of the maintenance myself than used Hemlane. They're good, especially for emergency stuff. Like 2 a.m, they'll reach out to the plumber. They have their own network. If you want to pay for that package, they use their own people. But some of the stuff that I get calls on is like, I can save it. Like, oh well, like the LED ceiling hall lamp is starting to flicker. It's not the type that has bulbs. Like it's like a hardwired, like there's a built-in LED panel in there. You got to replace the whole thing. And like, like a couple of those things in a site, I'll be like, hey, yeah, I'm going to be coming out that way 2 Saturdays from now, and I'll batch them up and I'll go out. And a lot of this, like, hey, Chris, hey, the common area hallway smoke detector. This was this morning. The common area hallway smoke detector is beeping. The guy tried to be helpful, tried to change the battery. It's not working. Maybe it's a bad detector. I don't want to pay some maintenance guy like 150 bucks, $200 to go out and do that. I'm like, hey, I'll be out. If it's okay, I'll be out next weekend. I'll swing by and take a look. He's like, oh, that's great. No problem. So
Yeah, most of the calls are stupid little small stuff. I've been doing maintenance repairs for 37 years. It's all
yeah,
stupid stuff, majority of it. So
yeah,
Hey, Steven, I will say that over time, on the handyman front, you'll probably find that, you know, 8, 9, 10 months to a year, they're gonna move on, right? Because they're gonna get more skills and then trade up. So that's another reason to have more than just one handyman, because eventually they're gonna move on. At least that's been my now. Granted, I've only been doing this for like less than 2 years. So I don't know what I'm talking about, but I've heard that from other people, and I'm already experiencing that too. You'll start to see a little bit longer lead times with things for your stuff. And by the way, I do pay them really well, so it's not like it's a pay thing. And I pay them right away, and I pay them really well. And so what's going on is, they'll move up. Like my one guy is now a superintendent for a contract company. I'm like, well, shit. So things like that. So
yeah, so because just as like we're trying to do in real estate investment, we're trying to scale. That's the same thing a contractor or a handyman's doing. They
yeah,
want to scale. And but the biggest thing they don't realize is they probably would have been better off staying a handyman because you can actually potentially make more money. Second, you get employees and multiple trucks and all these insurances, workman's comp, it ends up getting way overwhelming, and you don't end up making as much money. If I went out on my own, I would probably double my income
Wow.
just doing maintenance repairs.
How do you guys find good maintenance repairs? Is it like Facebook? Is it like those just like tapping in? Because I'm looking at Pittsburgh, for example, and I'm like, I go on Facebook, I'll search up like Pittsburgh investor real estate groups, and what would be your guys' like advice on finding a handyman?
Like Jared was saying, network.
Oh,
And
network.
like, yeah, the Facebook market, or not Facebook, the Facebook groups, the real estate investment groups, the property managers, the property real estate agents, yeah, other people in ORAT that are investing there. There's all
yeah.
multiple ways. I
Okay.
would do those. Don't just Google it. Yeah, get recommendations.
Okay. And
Yeah, I would say are the three areas I got almost all of mine were one, ORAT community, but in my area there's not a lot of ORAT people. Two would be if you if once you build a relationship with kind of some trusted realtors. And then three is, we occasionally acquire properties with property management, and then eventually we unwind them. But after I watch them, and if they have decent maintenance people, I'm getting all the invoices, I'll reach out and say, hey, I might be taking this property over myself. Would you be willing to do some work, continue to work in this property for me? And they're, I haven't had anybody say no, and they actually turn out to be pretty decent.
sounds good.
Yeah, over the years, I've done so much work for management companies. I don't like any of them that I've dealt with. So
Yeah.
like people say, there are good ones. Don't get me wrong, but majority of them I've found are just they're snakes. They
Hmm.
really are. That's my circumstance. I don't, like I said, there's probably some good ones out there, but the ones I've dealt with, no.
Hey, Jim, I'm thinking it also probably has a little bit to do with like if you acquire an old dated property and you modernize it, and then you give it to a contractor where you kind of know the property and it's not going to cause you a lot of problems. I think that's a less risky situation than if you inherit a relatively worn property and let the property management, maybe you're going to let it run as is for a couple of years before you modernize it. I feel like that's where people run into more problems, because you don't know the building, you haven't kind of, for lack of a better word, really stabilized it. It's like, you just don't know what you don't know.
Yeah, I mean, here's an example. The property manager one of them that I used to deal with, they took 10% off my invoice, and then they charged the property owner 10%. So they were making 10 to 20% on the repairs.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, that's just ridiculous. Or here's the
Yeah.
biggest thing: if you're going to do that, you should be telling people. It should be in the contract lined out that you're doing that.
Yeah.
and it's not. In my opinion, that's fraud.
Yeah.
But yeah. So once they started doing that to me, it's like, no, I'm done with you. Goodbye. And then the other thing on your point, the better you have a property taken care of from the get-go, if you don't have all those crappy systems and stuff from that 100-year-old house, it makes everything a lot easier to deal with. And then the biggest thing I don't like about property managers, I'm sorry, they don't deserve 1 month rent to get a house rented. Especially in today's day and age where everything's online, I just don't see that legwork for that kind of money.
Yeah.
I don't see
Yeah,
the
I've had a
return.
hard time with that too. It's like, you know, I mean, if they're creating a good ad and driving, if they're creating a good ad and getting me top dollar and top rent and all that stuff, then sure, maybe you deserve it then. But let's be honest, how many property management companies do that? The
Well,
one
yeah,
for
Yeah.
me, the
and
one for
like
me in Delaware does that, but I don't trust other ones to do. I don't know. I have a hard time with that
Well, and
myself.
like we were talking about with Hemlane, they post everything onto all those sites. You just have to create the ad, and Matt has that thing all set up if you went through his boot camp.
Yeah.
So you create the ad, and then
Yeah,
you post it, and then you pay somebody like you were talking about $30-40 an hour to show the unit.
Yeah. Hemlane will even, like for lack of a better word, give you a fixed price for a realtor to come out and show it. If say, so I think, if you could do Matt, you set it up where you don't do individual showings, you do open houses. You through Hemlane, I think it's a couple $100 you can pay a realtor to do that. You're not paying that half month or full month rent. Or you do what Matt does and you hire a local realtor, pay them by the hour. You know,
Yeah,
I that
that's my
that
plan right there. Absolutely.
yeah,
Because
I think that's the model.
what agent does not want to supplement their income? They're
Right,
getting paid per transaction.
right.
Especially now with everything being slow.
Yeah. So
Yeah, I've developed a pretty good relationship with my agent, and I think I've bought what 4 houses through him. So he's pretty happy with me. That's like, I don't know, 60 grand. So every now and again, I'll ask him to go do something and he'll just do it for me. So that's kind of nice.
oh, yeah, my local agent actually helped me get this deal under the auction. We thought we lost it because it was the second one. We're the only one bidding on it, but he called the agent and said, "Hey, you really need to talk to this bank." So his wherewithal to go through it got us the contract.
Nice. That's an agent you need to keep right there.
Exactly, correct.
Yep. Yeah, my agent's pretty good because I know what I know and he knows what he knows. He's been in that market for 25 years, long time. And so I was a couple of houses. He's actually told me no. What agent does that? He's like, dude, I don't know, man. I wouldn't do this. And I'm like, oh, okay. And I dug into what he was saying. I'm like, oh, you're absolutely right. Thank you. So that's why I stick with him because it seems like he's got my best interest at heart. So I like that.
Let's say for real estate agents, um, uh, let's say a real estate agent is an older gentleman that's been in the game for 20 years and he's quite busy. But then there's another agent that's younger, but he's super hungry, but he doesn't have that much, like he's hasn't been through cycles of market crashes or anything. Would you still consider the young guy, or I don't know, but he's hungry.
That's a tough one, man.
can I answer that? Would that be okay?
Yeah.
Okay, so I wouldn't care as long as they have the knowledge. Like, so when I think about when I'm buying a house, I trust myself on macro and economics and that kind of stuff. I need someone who knows the areas, right? Like when I ask the question, hey, what type of people live in this area? I need to know that freaking answer. I need to know who I'm going to be renting to, right? Are they young professionals? Is it you know, is it is it people who just moved out of the projects? Is it a project and I just don't realize it from looking at the pictures, right? Like, is it area? I need to know that type of information, and then I need to have someone who can identify repairs very quickly, where we're not just living who can identify repairs and have a rough idea what it costs to repair it, and not just wait for the inspection. and hope that the inspector catches it for me, right? So I need somebody with the local knowledge and with and who's good at who's good at like identifying potential issues down the road because I'm buying and holding more so than, you know, what's their experience as far as the properties going up and down in the area.
Mm.
Because I trust myself with that. It's the other stuff that I can't necessarily trust myself with.
Yeah.
Right.
I think the answer to that question is who's the client. If it's a client, if the client is somebody who has been an investor for a while, knows what they're doing, then I would probably tend to lean towards the eager, aggressive, younger to just do your bidding. But if you're brand new, then I would probably say, you know, go with the older person because they're going to know more if you can get their time. So I don't know. It's kind of it depends on the audience, depends on the client.
I would add to that if the brokerage is established and they have good contact and the broker is actually teaching that person.
Mm-hmm. Okay, for sure. That was something I was kind of stuck on, right? So just, yeah, no, that's great to know. So most definitely, I think for my case, probably having someone in the market, more experience, has been through the cycles of market crashes and whatnot. So definitely. Okay.
And one thing that everybody talks about too is having somebody that's actually an investor. If you can do that, that's just icing on the cake.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can get on Bigger Pockets and look for those. I think I've heard that, but you know, you can find them through network events and things like that also.
Okay. Sounds good.
So are you doing,
Charles? Oh, sorry.
Are you doing something fun today?
Better late than never.
Are you doing something fun at 2:00, Jared?
Oh, yeah, we've got a poker party.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, so we got to get set up and all that. So I hate hosting poker parties at my house because I don't want to win. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So is it what's the game? Are you doing is it a small tournament? Is it a cash game? What do you do?
Oh, it's just some my wife's brother doesn't know how to play, so he's got a bunch of friends coming over. I've got a poker table and the whole setup and everything, so it'll be, you know, just kind of a fun little light, nothing hardcore. I've had like, you know, 30 people poker tournaments at houses in the past. That's what
I like playing cards myself. So yeah, I generally go to like Eagles or the poker clubs in the Portland area, as you know, Jared.
Yeah.
I'll generally go there and play. It's been a while, but I enjoy doing it. Yeah, that's what I was asking.
Well, maybe we'll have to have either before or after the ORAT next year in Vegas, have a little poker tournament amongst the agent or real estate investors. That'd be fun.
That'd be a blast.
That would be, especially if Ashiro's there, get Mark there, get Dion, and see if Zuber wouldn't. Well, Zuber would be too busy.
Yeah, that would definitely be fun.
See if Simon, the uneducated economist, says, I know he plays chess, but I want to see if he plays poker. All right, we got about 24 minutes, guys. What's next? We're seeing your computer screen there, Jim. If you're sharing anything special.
No, I'm not. No,
Okay.
I'm trying to switch over. I just got home because I was getting material for tomorrow. I am trying to switch over.
Do you guys have any advice for one of our buildings, the triplex, one of the units we just finished, the kitchen is this unit was originally a house. They turned it into a duplex. Then they did like a small addition on the side to turn it into a triplex. The kitchen, basically, the back right corner of the house and the bedroom of that are built on a crawl space. I am trying to figure out, and the crawl space is probably 3 feet high, dirt floor, some supports. And from the inside you can just see crappy, a little bit of stone foundation, but then just crappy wood. I'm trying to figure out if I encapsulate the floor, foam the walls. Do I have to put a vent in there? Like I'm gonna have a couple companies come out and give some recommendations, but this is in the Northeast, right? So you're gonna get humid winters, you're gonna get moisture up from the ground, and then obviously you're gonna have cold winters. My biggest concern is there's some drain lines and some water lines running through there, and I'm concerned about freezing in the winter. And obviously I can just insulate those, but I think I have to insulate the space to be a little safer. Anybody have any thoughts?
Punt that one to Jim or somebody else with more knowledge.
That's
Somebody
one of
lives
my
in a
biggest
cold
things
area.
with going to Pittsburgh or to what's called is I want everything done stud because I want to fix, plumbing lines should not be on an outside wall. In a freeze area, that's the stupidest thing you can do.
Yeah, they're not on the outside wall, but they're in the crawl space up against the top of the crawl space. So similar, probably kind of
That's the
sort of
same
risk.
thing.
Yeah.
We had 3 projects up in Tahoe that we had to deal with because they froze and they blew up.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's one of my biggest hurdles right now because I've been doing all kinds of comps in both Gary and in Pittsburgh, and I'm just like I won't do a house that's not going down to stud.
So
How
what do
I'm
you
close
done
is
with
the
too many plaster situations, copper situations, everything, or um, galvanized and everything else. It's just not worth it.
how close is the is it a forced air heating or is it hot water?
Great question. This there is one set of pipes for a radiator in the kitchen. We just added split systems as well, which is really going to be the primary source of heating and cooling. But there are some lines to a radiator that run through there as well.
And can you get those lines adjacent to the can you put them next to the hot water for the radiant heaters?
I probably could, but I've probably screwed myself to try and take advantage of that because the goal is not to have the tenants use the hot water radiators unless it's
Okay.
as only as like a last resort. Because then if that's on me if I put them because it's shared for the whole building as opposed to putting them on their own split systems, which they're all paying that electric bill themselves.
so if they're not
I
using
I,
them, is that
I
a danger of freezing?
well, I think there's a danger of everything freezing down there, the water lines, the radiator. So I'm trying to figure out.
So are you going to
I've got to
drain
do
them?
something to just contain this, to do some level of thermal insulation down the space. So,
How big of an area is it?
mm, call it 12 or 13 by 15, something like that.
And is it fairly tight or not?
No, oh no, my first instinct was to go down and spray foam all the walls, but wisdom prevailed, and I didn't just jump into that because if I do that, obviously, then I've got this earth floor producing all this moisture, which will just get captured down there. Um, we had a similar situation in our old house. We encapsulated the floor and insulated the walls, which is an option, right? It basically keeps the moisture in the ground, doesn't let it seep into the area. And but that's a $4,000 probably project. It's not something I have the time to do myself, so I'd have to outsource that. But it's probably anywhere from 3 to 5 grand to do that, which is a lot to spend to protect 2 water lines and two
Um,
radiator lines.
Heat tape,
Yeah.
and that's heat tape, pressure and drain.
Yeah.
Um,
Okay.
that lasts for quite a while, but you got to watch for rodents.
Yeah.
And as far as the moisture, um, put a fan on a timer.
Mm.
Get some air movement.
Wow, that's a good idea. I didn't even think of that.
The only risk with that is so that if I did a fan, I'd have to create a vent, and then I'm
You don't
when it let's
necessarily
just
have to. It's the air movement inside the
mm,
space can help dry it out.
interesting. There's no we don't need you don't need somewhere for the moist air to escape or to get out or
You're looking to let it evaporate.
mm,
Now it'd be best, but at the same time, you got a thermal barrier on that as well. Just having a Um, a fan that cycles on, 6 hours a day on a timer,
Yeah.
may make enough of a difference. And
Well,
if you're curious about it, put a remote camera down there to watch with a remote thermostat.
yeah. Yeah. Well, it'll
Because
be
really you're looking to protect yourself below 28 degrees.
right. Right. Okay. Yeah. I'll to give it a couple. I'll get some basement crawl
And
space estimates as
if
well, just see what folks are
if
recommending.
if you do that, follow as far as the heat tape goes, follow the instructions on the heat tape to a T.
Okay.
Because if you take the easy way, it won't work.
Mm, good point.
So I've learned that the
Cool.
hard way.
I was gonna say, sounds like Charles knows what he's talking about on that one.
So
Cool.
in the well house at the farm, a heat bulb, if it's consolidated area, just a bulb, was enough to keep things from freezing seasonally. But that's always on. The heat tape has generally has a thermostat built into them, so they'll cycle on and off with ambient temperatures.
Mm.
It's not fun, but usually you get half dozen years out of it or better.
Okay.
Because otherwise you're letting something trickle. My humble 2 cents in a
Okay.
freezing area.
Cool. Awesome.
Cool beans.
How's your projects coming, Jared?
Oh, I'm an idiot. I'm 2 weeks behind. This isn't even
That's
real
not
estate.
hey, that
Well,
real ID will get you.
yeah, so for those who don't know, I'm stubborn and I refuse to do the real ID. So I've been waiting on my passport so I can fly. But in the meantime, I've got my handyman doing all kinds of stuff for me that I probably normally would have done when I was down there. But so I'm going to pay an extra mortgage payment. So that's a $3,800 mistake. Whoops.
Isn't your driver's license a real ID?
I don't have it. I refuse to do it. So
Oh, okay.
yeah.
I mean, kudos to you for pulling that off. With me being in the military, that's impossible because my military ID is automatically a real ID. So whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, I ordered the $30 edition card. So when I travel, I don't actually bring my passport book with me.
Passport card.
Yeah,
Yeah.
passport card because I'm flying internal or sorry, domestic. So I don't really need it. So that way it's easier for me.
I think you can use that to go to Canada and Mexico. It's just if you go outside North America, but you might want to double check that because that
no,
might have
there's
changed.
Canada, Mexico, and a couple other places. But if I did that, I'd bring my passport anyway. I'm just domestically. I thought about driving down there, but I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna pay the 30. I'm just gonna pay the extra mortgage because you know. And I'm glad I did because like this weekend, yeah, somebody posted in Skool. I can't remember. They said, "Hey, I think it was Jack. Said describe your perfect day," and I responded with today because I was telling Brandon who left. But man, yesterday we went to the coast, hung out at the beach. It's the first time in 2 years I haven't thought about work or real estate. And the work one, that I try to forget that one as much as I can. But the real estate's on my mind for the last 2 years, constant. And I can't. It's just, which is a good thing. It's not bad, but so anyway, uh, it gave me the time to spend more time with the family because I'm still here in Oregon. I'm not down in Arizona, so it's not all bad.
And another one from experience, make sure you sign it.
Sign.
Your passport or your
Oh,
ID.
yeah. Yeah.
Because I've been at the border before having a conversation.
My wife,
What's a fun conversation with borders? With the is I was in the military, in the Navy Reserves. I got deployed to Iceland. Well, the military put me in Iceland with on the military rotator, which means you don't use passports or anything like that, right? Um, well, that means there's no record of me entering the country. So when I went through the civilian airport to leave, it took me about probably 15, 20 minutes, and I had to actually show that I had to actually pull out my orders, which I guess I should have more readily available. But I had to show my orders and explained to him how I came in on the U.S. military rotator, and that's why there was no record of me entering Iceland.
Who did you piss off to get sent to Iceland?
Dude, no, Iceland was great.
Iceland's a good duty, brother.
Oh, is
Yeah,
it?
it's
Okay.
Greenland
Yeah,
you
it
don't want to
sounds
go to.
horrible. Yeah.
Yeah, Greenland's the one. If you piss people off and get sent to Greenland, that's the one that sucks.
Greenland.
You,
That's where my if you guys don't, I want to tell this story. I have to because it's like a 30-year-old story. But my dad, Buck Sergeant in the Army back in, I don't know, 60s or 70s, I don't remember when, he was walking down the street with my mom. My mom tells this story different than my dad does. My dad was like, nope, that was my duty assignment. My mom's like, bullshit. So my dad, being an anal rule following military, he was a retired master sergeant, but this is when he was an E5 regular sergeant. He's walking down the sidewalk outside on post, and a major comes walking by. And my dad did not salute him. This is outside. And the major stops and says, excuse me, Sergeant, did you lose your military bearing? He says, no, sir. And he goes, why didn't you salute an officer? He says, well, I salute the uniform, not the man, sir. He's like, what do you mean? He's like, well, your top button's undone. You're out of uniform, so I didn't salute you. A week later, he got orders cut to Greenland, right? He was there for 6 months. He saw the son do this, and my mom's like, yeah, he pissed that major off. My dad's like, nope, that's where they needed me at the time. I was like, bullshit, you pissed off that guy.
yeah, I don't ever want to get sent to Greenland. Iceland's awesome. Greenland sucks.
Germany.
I haven't been to Greenland, but everybody who I've talked to who's been to Greenland is like, yeah, that place sucks.
Yeah.
So, you learn from the military very quickly what areas are good and what areas are bad, right? So,
Germany's
I've heard
great.
Hawaii gets old quick.
Hawaii?
I've heard Hawaii gets old quick. Never been there as in the military. I've been there as a civilian.
Well, you are on an island, but if you do like one tour there, it's not bad. But especially if your job is a driver. One of my buddies ended up there as a driver for I think he was a captain or major, and his job, he didn't do PT, nothing. He called in for work and he'd drive like once or twice a week. Other than that, he just screwed off. I'm like, he called me from the beach. I'm like, you're an asshole, man.
Yeah, that's what motor T gets you, brother.
Yeah. I was a mechanic for those that don't
Yeah,
know.
yeah. Infantry's a different world.
Yeah. We're getting way off the rails now, so sorry. But I guess so. Anybody have any real estate stuff? Probably should bring this back into.
Buying another lot at the same lake. I think we just put a bid in for another one.
Nice.
It's pretty much to protect my buddy. It's right next to my buddy's property, so make sure that he's not going to get a neighbor too close.
Cool.
And pick a chance, it's an opportunity to irritate him. Say, I'm going to build a house.
Build a big pink something or other.
Yeah. Ask if there's Section 8 available. Yeah, he was motor T in the Army as well.
Start a drug rehab right next door.
No.
The only thing I can offer is I've gone through a master class in egress windows over the last 3 weeks. I had a project that's just been, the contractor just didn't know how to solve it. So turns out there are a number of companies, one in Canada and the other one I think is in Ohio. All they do are egress systems. So I found because like we're converting the third floor of like a farmhouse built in the early 1900s, and the contractor was scared to cut into the walls, and frankly, I'm not exactly. So we figured out that you could actually cut down, which is we don't have structure from the existing windows, which is a lot less structural risk than cutting across or cutting up. So we can keep the same header. And then went through 4 or 5 companies who all they do is egress windows, and some of them will even do custom stuff. And I just went out today and kind of cut through brick and created a test opening and we're going to try one window, and if that works, then we'll put all 3 in, and we've just added 3 bedrooms. So, but what a pain in the rear! What a pain in the rear.
Learning process always sucks.
Yeah. But there's a place called Ready Exit Egress Systems, and then the other one called the Great Egress. And they're actually the company's been good to work with. The problem is the company that I like the most is in Ontario, and they had the size I needed in stock. They could ship them like next day, and it's been sitting at a U.S. Canadian customs facility waiting to get processed out for the last 5 days, which is really annoying. But and they're reasonably affordable too. So
That's good to know, man, because I do a lot of that too. This house I just bought in Gilbert, there's a basement, and luckily I had some stairs that came down the back where I needed the egress window. So we cut
cool.
into the foundation, right, and put in a window there.
Yeah, these are on the third story. The ready exit actually makes it really cool, and it looks like a standard double hung window because usually they're casements, but and you pull a lever on the side, and the whole window with the sliders opens like a casement. I'll send a picture. I'll put a picture in the chat. It's actually a really cool concept.
Hey Jim, this is a question for you on windows. I've got a window in the basement of this house where you crank the little lever and it opens up the window like this. All of them work but one. Should I just replace the window or should I fix the crank, or is there?
You could probably fix the crank, or it might be the arm on it too. You have to have those. That's for egress
Yeah.
in your basement. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, usually it's either the crank or the hardware, and you should be able to fix it.
Okay, cool. Thanks, man. Yeah, my handyman will be over there on Tuesday, so see what he says too.
Honestly, glass guys are a lot better at that because they know what part to get and everything else. You're going to pay a little bit more, but it's going to save you a bunch of time.
He's just gonna look at it. He's over there doing ceiling fans and light switches and outlets and a bunch of make that crap. Oh, cool. Thanks, Chris. Oh wow, look at that. The whole damn thing opens. That's cool.
Yeah, really cool.
Wow.
Really cool. We're gonna install one of those, and then we're gonna install like three. This is on the second floor, and then on third floor, we're just gonna do these 34 by 34 casements that are. I mean, but if I cut the opening a little wider, like they make a third, basically like a 36 by 36 square in this style. I'll let you know how they turn out. I'm pretty jazzed. This could be nice. So
that typically won't work for a basement though.
Oh,
no, yeah, I'm all second and third floor. So
yeah. Second, third. Yeah, they've got these cutouts into the earth that go out, and there's a ladder, and there's a grate on top, and everything. It's pretty crazy.
These companies, like this is the above ground egress windows. They have an entire section of their website on below ground, both of them. So if you get a chance, check them out. The great egress, and then this is a ready exit. Really nice stuff for a basement and above ground. So,
and then the great egress, and what was the other one? Red egress.
A ready dash exit, redi-exit.com. And then the other one, just search for where is it here? The great egress.
Okay.
Yeah, great egress. Yeah.
Cool. Thanks, man. Well, we got about 5 minutes. We got anything pressing for anybody else?
Say I buy turnkey property, but there's carpet in it. Are you guys ripping it out or keeping the carpet in it?
For my strategy, I'm ripping it out, but I'll let somebody else chime in.
Just a single family home, long-term buy and hold. Carpet, we ripping it out or
is it pretty bad?
What else does it need?
No, I'm just saying in general. Just say if I buy a property, it's a turnkey, but it just has some carpet in it and needs some paint. But I was just wondering, some people have mixed kind of feelings with carpet. Some people like pulling it out, putting LPV.
What market? Where are you at?
Pittsburgh.
Oh,
okay. Pittsburgh, for example. Yeah.
Top of the market or middle of the market?
Still just looking around. I'm just a general question. You know what I mean? For a place like Pittsburgh, are you guys keeping carpet or not? Yeah.
Steven, do you live in Pittsburgh area?
No, I don't live in Pittsburgh area.
Okay, just thought I'd ask.
Mm-hmm.
So,
I know you wanted. You're looking for somebody.
Yeah, I put the post on Skool. I put the post on Skool, so I'm sure somebody will answer. I just figure, I just barely entered the Pittsburgh area myself. I was in Delaware. I was investing in Delaware, and I've switched to Pittsburgh because, well, one, the ORAT network that's already there, and then two, all the duplexes and triplexes that are like in good parts of town, because you don't find that everywhere. You might be able to find, small multifamily in cities, but not all cities have them in like locations, you'd be okay with like your son or daughter living in.
Right. Yeah.
Delaware, at least the area of Delaware I live, right near the Wilmington, Delaware, Newark to Wilmington, Delaware. Um, there's a bunch of small multifamily near the University of Delaware. That's good, but none of that ever comes on the MLS, and I'm not in the right networks to get that. And then the other area is inner city Wilmington, which is such a wonderful place. Not even Starbucks opens up a spot there. So for me, that's a good enough area not to, you know,
Yeah.
you can find some for 200K there, but and 200K in Wilmington, Delaware is cheap, but
It's rough area.
yeah, yeah, it's not there you want to be. So
My opinion on carpet is if it's serviceable, run it, unless it hurts the property being rented. And then once it needs work, then put the money and time into it.
Okay,
It's my 2 cents.
for sure.
In other words, everything's got a life cycle. So why cut a life cycle short unless there's a better reason to? It's like my wife's over my shoulder. I only pick the fights I can win.
Which is none of them. That's why you wake up in the morning and say, yes, dear. Or you say, I'm sorry.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, people don't realize even solder joints on copper have a life cycle.
Yeah.
They will fail at some point.
Yeah, there's only so many pulses it'll take before what's your expansion and contractions.
Okay.
So
Thanks, man.
I'm sorry I was late, guys. I was doing chores around the house. She had to put this couch upstairs, move this couch over. I want that desk upstairs.
You're muted. I think you're muted, Jared.
So, yeah, I understand that. I had to move a cast iron tub to the 3rd floor one time. That sucked. Those big heavy things with the feet on them and everything. I was like, really? Really? That's what.
We got one of those.
That's when you get a lift and you open up one of the windows and you slide it in through the window.
Yeah.
Someone I call my buddy Jim.
I got to put one in this next week, so I hate cast iron.
Oh, I do too, man. God.
Yeah, the only reason I'm doing it is because it's free.
Yeah.
It's amazing how cheap we can be. It looks great. We're going to use it.
Yep. Yeah, there's a little ding in the bottom corner that's going to get covered up with drywall, and the customer refused it. I'm like, you people are stupid.
Yeah.
Yeah. But works out for me.
Yeah.
I'm doing something a little weird. I'm the glaze you can do where you cover up your old tub or shower pan or whatever. I'm not doing the whole thing. I'm doing there's a little like a 2-inch gash in it, and there's some stuff at Home Depot that you can use. I don't know. The handyman said he could make it look good, so I'm like, all right, go for it. Worst is it turns out like shit, and I'll just do the whole thing or rip it out and put a shower in because I don't want a tub in there anyway.
Yeah, for a fix to get you by till a later time, absolutely.
Yeah.
I wouldn't do it on something I'm going to keep permanent. But if I have plans to do other remodeling down the road, then I would definitely do that.
Okay.
I bondoed and filled fiberglass tubs and recoated them. I won't do it anymore, but
Yeah, I try to think about I think to Steven's question, like for me in my strategy rent by room, it's different than a lot, but if I can now I just bought a house with carpet in it in 3 bedrooms, but if I can do it now, and even if the carpet's still serviceable, but it's been used, then I'll replace it with LVP because I don't want to have to pay a contractor multiple times to come down every time a room's a unit's been vacated, right? So it just doesn't work for me in my strategy. But I just bought this house and the seller put brand new carpet in, man. I'm like, son of a. So I am going to run it and I'm going to regret it in a year or two, but I'm doing it just because I'm with you, Charles. It's like, hey, it's brand freaking new, man. It's only in 3 rooms. So worst case, I pay for a couple nights for a nice hotel for the members or whatever, and I replace it and then have them come back. So that's kind of the idea of it.
Actually, I know you got to go shortly. What's everybody's opinion on staging for pictures before you rent out?
You can virtual do it now with ChatGPT.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think it looks, I mean, they're getting better and better. So sometimes you can't even tell. Like sometimes you got to look pretty hard to see if it's real or staged. The AI is getting really good. I think it depends on the market, right? And your strategy. So like, if you're trying to sell, then obviously you probably want to stage at least virtual, but you can get
This is
some.
for your short terms, isn't it, Jim?
No, actually, that's all switched. I don't know if you know, but I got another door that we're under contract on. So now I'm doing all long-term rentals, and I'm gonna
Okay.
find a better house to do the short term.
Okay.
I don't want to spend an extra 25 grand right now on that short term amenities and everything else. I'd rather put that towards property.
Hey, I can pull a Frank and just let this go, and you guys can keep chatting if you guys want.
Yeah, I've got to get going. I got to go work on a project.
Yeah.
So
Oh, okay.
I go too.
thank you, though. I appreciate that.
Wait, Jared, you said you're using AI to stage your properties. Are you using ChatGPT?
Yeah, ChatGPT. I haven't actually done it yet, but I'm on a bunch of AI Skool things, and I guess it
Mm.
just came out where you can use ChatGPT and you
Yeah.
can stage the room. You have to give it the picture though. So you give it the picture and you say, "Hey, go for it." And by default, it takes a swing at it. I saw it on a YouTube video, and then you can go try to manipulate it.
I'm actually
And,
looking
and
at
there,
Realtor.com, and they have that on here right now.
Oh, do they
yeah,
really?
Yeah, it says
there are websites that'll
virtual
do it.
staging.
Yeah.
Yeah, there are websites that for super cheap will just do it as well. I mean,
Hmm.
Mhm.
eventually, I'm sure ChatGPT will take it over, but you could do that as well. We did that for our medium term rental.
Nice.
There's a new software out there. It's a Chinese company. It's HUA. It's almost like the cell phone. I'll have to go look it up, but it's image manipulation on the fly. You know how you guys do it and have to sit there and render for hours on end or whatever. This one is you change it and the image changes on the fly, so you can manipulate it. And I think more and more are going to get that way. So FYI.
Cool.
Copy that. Sorry, I was late, guys.
Yeah, no, well, this is just free form, sharing knowledge and whatnot. So cool. All right, guys, will you enjoy your Memorial Day weekend? It's been fun.
Okay, see you
Cheers.
next week.
All right,
See
See
you
you,
guys.
everybody.
Bye bye.
all right, bye.
Bye.